Heidie Fernandez is my virtual assistant and the secret engine behind the scenes at the Entrepreneurial Translator. She manages my WordPress website, she edits every podcast episode you listen to, and she produces the Canva slide decks that power my translator training presentations. In today's episode, she pulls back the curtain on exactly how a VA partnership works in practice and what it could mean for your business. And welcome to Freelancer Training on How to Find More Direct Clients, a podcast hosted by myself, Jason Willisley. This is the show that makes digital marketing easier and more fun using the perfect combo and just the right dose of business strategy and tech. I'm your host, Jason Willisley. I'm a digital marketing specialist. And today I'm very excited and thrilled to welcome a very special guest. Her name is Heidie Fernandez, and Heidie is my VA, my virtual assistant. Heidie brings a unique perspective on virtual assistants for service providers like you and me to our discussion. Heidie, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to see you on the podcast, and thank you for doing this interview.
Hi, Jason. Thank you for inviting me here, and I hope I can suggest or bring good insights.
Oh, absolutely. I've been working with Heidie for several years, and she is absolutely amazing. So I thought, as hiring a first VA is one of the classes we teach in how to find more direct clients, I thought, what better way to illustrate that than having Heidie on the actual show. So one of the things we're going to talk about, three things that Heidie does for me specifically, and that she can do for you as well, or any solopreneur. One is writing, just handling website copy, or more than writing it, just handling the tech side of the website. The second one is building Canva slide decks, beautiful branded slide decks in Canva. And the third one is podcast audio editing. She will definitely edit this episode of her own interview. So Heidie, starting with website copy. So what I do is I send Heidie my website copy so that it speaks to direct clients, not agencies. Most translator websites read like CVs, Heidie. So a VA like yourself who understands positioning can really help translate expertise into client-facing language that attracts customers to us without the translator having to become so much a copywriter. You do a little bit of copywriting as well. I know that. Can you just talk us through a little bit? What's the difference between a translator website that attracts agencies and one that actually attracts direct clients from going person to person without going through a middle person? How do you approach handling websites for your customers? And just talk about how you approach my website, because we're doing some changes, and I'm going to talk to you after the show about some changes. We're trying to link my newsletter to the website and just get the front hall looking slightly more professional, and then everything else in the back. What kind of things do I send you? What kind of tasks would you say? And how do you manage my website requests? Because this is so important, I think.
Yes, of course, because you gave me the raw copy of our campaign, and then I will do the landing page, include the branding in it, the branding, the font style, the CTAs for the landing page. That is what I do when you give me the raw file.
I tend to send you the copy myself. Are you actually able to copy edit as well? Do you do some copywriting, or is that something you can help? Yeah.
Of course, I can do that as well. Depending on what you sent me, I will do just minor revisions of trying to talk or to the audience for your specific audience.
Yeah, that's incredible. In fact, I'm going to ask you to do some copywriting probably in the next few days or so. Website copy is so important. If you have a VA to support you with your website, it's just so much easier. You can actually do some fairly advanced things. You index it on Google. You get onto page one of Google. These days, it's more AI search rank, isn't it, Heidie, rather than the Google. We've got to be on AI search. So if you have Heidie or somebody like Heidie to help you with your website, it's just for me, it's been an absolute game changer with working with Heidie. Let's move on to Canva decks, Heidie. So I do a lot of most of my content is in Canva, as you know. You're on my team in Canva Pro. You have access to my Canva. So what I typically do is I send you a Gamma deck. So there's a very nice app called Gamma. I think it's called Gamma dot AI, and you can get a very rough version of the presentation. And I like to take out a lot of the text and put it into a script. And I like to have minimal images and just talk. So anyone who attends one of my presentations, you really kind of have to be there live or do the recording. You can't just watch the slide deck. So could you talk us a little bit how do you remove the bottleneck for service providers? So my audience are translators, interpreters, copy editors who have the expertise, but not maybe not the production skills to back that up. How do you talk us through how you turn one of my gammas into a really branded deck with my colors, my purple, my green, my blue, those Wimbledon tennis colors that everyone knows I like because of my tennis. I'm a tennis nut and a freak. How do you sort of go through that process when I send you here's my gamma, go into this and turn it into a slide deck? Could you just talk about that transition, that transformation?
Jason, frequently it's the same. So I will use our branding colors for it, our font, our branding font for it, which is very important in redesigning the raw file. So sometimes it's a bit tedious because the raw file is not like put in one deck kind of thing, if I am making sense. So I do a lot of editing in the Canva, in the presentation. So technically, same thing. Branding is important. CTAs is also important in the Canva. But you have what you sent is really in itself is complete elements. So all the important elements are there. All I have to do is just brand it, use the right font, use the right color. We have our templates for it, so that is how I do it, which is very important. The branding, the CTAs, which is
Yeah,
very
CTA is
important.
call to action, everyone. Anyone who doesn't know CTA, call to action. Yep.
Call to action. And sometimes the file you send is not just it's not easy. So I have to do some redesigning on the final output.
Yeah, so with the branding, I mean, is the brand board pre-loaded into Canva and you just sort of press a button and the brand colors? How much work is it involved in actually branding a slide deck? I mean, I typically have slide decks of 20, 30, 40 slides. Is that
Yes.
sort of pre-loaded into Canva, the brand board, or do you manually do that
We have
yourself?
I created a pre-made template for that. So if it is possible, for example, with the one that you sent, the raw file, if it is bad, it's just in there. But if it is not possible, for example, the text, it's not possible for one page, and I have to include it into another page. I have to recreate everything
Yeah.
from scratch or duplicate another page, something like that. Duplicate another page and then load the text in there and then redesign it.
Yeah, I mean the final outcome, Heidi, is just spectacular. It's just such a saving of time and money. So effectively, by hiring a VA audience, you are buying your time back. You're basically buying your time back that you can spend on content creation and on authority building tasks. But when Heidi does the deck, I look at it and it just looks so professional, so beautiful. Any of you who've done any of my trainings will have seen the slides. They're really very excellent. So Heidi, about podcast editing now, what I tend to do is I hand you my raw podcast recording and then you just take it from there. So presumably you are doing this in GarageBand because I know you use Mac. If people want to do this in PC, it's a program called Audacity, I think. Could
And
you
that
walk us through the podcast editing process in GarageBand? We have a folder where you take the podcast editing file. It's an MP3, an MP. We do it on video as well. We reproduce video on the YouTube channel. And why is
yes.
this important for service provider translator who's already maxed out her billable hours? How can you help? Again, it's time saving, obviously, but could you just talk us through the process of editing? How involved how long do you spend on each episode? I mean, I don't really know because I just hand it over and it comes back on Buzzsprout. Could you talk? So I'm interested as well. How could you talk us through the process of editing in GarageBand?
for our podcast editing, we have a protocol in place, right? We have our folder, but sometimes I need to get in touch with you for the title.
Correct.
And sometimes schedule. But we have a protocol in place wherein I can just grab the resources into our folder from our folder and then start working on it. So it started with the intro and the outro. And yes, you are correct. I'm using Audacity for it. I've been doing podcast editing for years already, so technically it will be just a couple of minutes for me. But I'm not sure for other VAs. But I've been editing podcasts for years already. So we have our protocol in place. So all I have to do is just go to our folders to grab our raw files. I call it raw files, and then start editing it with our intro and outro and the titles and the repurposing, because we are also uploading it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, sometimes you do ask me for the title, because we have a production schedule, and today I realized I hadn't put the title in the file, so you quite rightly reached out to me for the title.
Yes.
So what is the sorry, go on.
If the client and the VAs establish these protocols, that would be a lot easier for them. They don't have to email each other back and forth if they have a system in place. If I am making sense.
Exactly. A system is very, very important. So we have a shared Dropbox folder. We have a production schedule. You know exactly when the episode is going out. The title is there, the guest. So, I just basically, systemize this as much as possible to make my life easier. And also I want to make your life easier when you're doing, I don't want you to struggle, have this email back and forth. So what is something, just you've worked with a lot of business owners, a lot of service providers. Where do you feel, it's about leverage, isn't it? It's about buying time back and spending time on the authority building tasks. What are having, in your career in general, you obviously work for a lot of businesses, you're doing a lot of digital marketing. Could you give us a couple of anecdotes about how your work has really that your work has built the authority of a business or perhaps a service provider positioning a website? Talk a little bit more about the websites you do. How did you come up with all this technical knowledge? Because I have the very basics of WordPress, but your knowledge is far ahead of mine, and I can more or less operate WordPress myself. Just talk to the technical skills that you bring to the table for a second.
If you are referring to my skills on the categories of my work as a VA, is probably because of years that I've worked with different clients before, and it makes me content and fulfilled if they say that I'm really helpful with their business. That is really very satisfying for me. That is really very important. Like what you said, buying time for clients, so they don't have to do all this work that is really time consuming. And then the client or the business owner will just have to think of strategies strategies to make the business grow. I think that is important. You buy time for yourself, so that is important for business owners.
Yeah, absolutely. I just came off a presentation building a business for the 5% that remains, because 95% of business is heading towards free work because of AI. Could you just talk a little bit about AI, the impact AI has had on your life as a VA, as a virtual assistant? Are you able to really amplify your own working time and just work faster because of AI? Could you give us a couple of specific anecdotes? Maybe the website copy and the podcast editing?
Yes, AI is really, really helpful for me as a virtual assistant. Text copy, you can, of course, if you know the prompt to use in AI, you will definitely have ease in doing the text copy of different, for example, landing page of a different of a page of a website or email marketing or email context copy, you can definitely do that with AI. So I think is really helpful. I just don't know in the future how will it affect us.
Mm.
Definitely at this point, AI is really a game changer for VAs like me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got to leverage it as much as the founders and the business owners, right? It's just it's an amplifier. It's not replacing us. It's enabling us to amplify our reach. And
Yes.
something I'm working on, Heidi, is just having one piece of content and then just to replicate it on all the platforms and just have one, create once, publish everywhere. That's the framework one of my former guests was talking about. Louise Brogan was talking about that on the last two episodes ago, I think. So that's incredible. So tell us a little bit about the time difference with Europe and America, Heidi. You probably have clients like me in Europe. I'm in Madrid. You are in Philippines, so we're 7 hours apart. It's early evening for you. It's end of the afternoon, sort of mid-afternoon for me, 1 o'clock.
And
Talk
you're
about the
very
time. Talk about the time difference and how you reconcile time differences and how does that work? Because you're obviously in a different part of the globe. How does that cause problems with your workflow? Is it just you being organized and real converting the time differences when you know there's a big difference like today, 7 hours?
yes. Time difference should not be a problem for a VA.
Yeah.
I think that's for one. That should not be a problem. There should be a time wherein your client and your VA can have an agreed time for them to meet at
Yes.
some point. Yeah. So I think that's number one. Time zone should not be a issue. For example, if your client needs you at a specific time, definitely you should comply with that. You should comply with that. That is just my own opinion as me, you
Mm.
know. But definitely there should be what I'm just trying to say is there should be an agreement that both client and the VA agreed with the time that they should be meeting. There will be. I'm very sure there is a way for them to compromise each other.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Just agree on the time you're both coming on at the same, so you're
Yes,
not you're not one
that
person here and one person there, like today, as we did today.
yes, that
Yeah,
should not be an
I always try
yes.
and help you with the time difference because I know it's 7 hours and I don't want it to be too late for you because you've got things to do in the evening and your family and getting to bed and things like that. Incredible. Let's do a couple of quick fire questions, Heidi. I'm just interested in the sort of first answer that comes to your head. Nothing difficult. How do you motivate yourself daily? What's the reason you get up every day out of bed? What's your motivation in
My
life?
family,
Yeah, okay.
my
Yeah, that's a
family,
good one. Yeah,
um,
definitely. What's the
yeah,
best business advice you've received, maybe for your own business as a VA, or maybe you've given someone else like me, like a client, or what is the best business advice you may have received or you may have given to someone else? What is especially today in the era of AI?
as a business owner, you don't have to do everything yourself.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a
Yes.
big lesson I try and teach. Installing leverage and finding someone like Heidi, which I was very lucky to inherit Heidi from a colleague. And I think it's been a game changer for me. I can say that. Heidi, what's the first word you think of when I say AI? What is the first word that pops into your head when I say artificial intelligence, AI? What is the first word you think of?
Easy life.
Easy life. Okay, two words. Okay, easy life. Okay,
General.
easy. That's very good. Um, that's incredible. What is one sort of just coming to the end? What is one message that you would like our audience to take away? We've discussed several things: website copy, podcast editing, presentations, Canva decks. What is one message you would like to the sort of central takeaway that they can that our time is available to be bought back, right? And it can be bought back and leverage can be installed into businesses through Heidi. What is the central takeaway that you would like to leave the audience with?
Work, life, and balance can be achieved.
More work-life balance. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay,
Yes.
so if any of you, this episode will be in our platform. Those of you currently going through 1Q training with me will find this platform in the class on hiring your first VA, because this is just an ideal interview, an asset to add to that. Heidi, where can my listeners connect to you if they want to get in touch with you directly? Are you on LinkedIn? Do you have a sort of online presence outwards? Where's the
Right
best
now,
place?
my website is down for reasons. I cannot direct you to my website. It's probably just my Instagram link that I can share after our call.
Okay.
But the website is down. My website is down. I used to have a website, but currently it's down. I'm still troubleshooting it.
Okay, hopefully you'll get your website back up. I'd definitely like to get your Instagram link, because I don't think we're connected on Instagram. That'll be amazing. Okay, let's wrap it up for today's episode of how to find freelancer training on how to find more direct clients. Stay tuned for more engaging discussions on the ever evolving landscape, of language and digital marketing. Until next time, remember what I always say: stay in your game, hug the ones you love, and future proof your career in the AI era. All the best from me, and I will see you on the next episode. Many thanks to Heidie Fernandez for appearing as a special guest today.
Here's a fun fact about Jason. Jason is a big Back to the Future fan. Thanks for tuning in to the How to Find More Direct Clients Than You Can Poke a Stick At podcast. We'll be back soon. In the meantime, why not head over to www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com to access all our tools and resources to monetize and future-proof your freelance translation business. And don't forget to hit the plus button in Apple Podcasts or iTunes, or subscribe in Spotify to be notified when new episodes drop. For regular tips and insights, business strategy, or marketing techniques straight to your inbox, please sign up at www.entrepreneurialtranslator.com.